Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of The Other Side of Addiction. Gosh, thank you everybody for being a part of this. We've got a co-host that came in to step in place of JD because his family is ill, and so he's respecting us and staying away till he gets feeling better. So Charity, thank you so much for just, coming in the studio, helping us out here.
You know I love it.
Yeah.
You know I love it.
Yeah,
This is another home for me. So, and I do wish JD and his family a speedy recovery.
Yeah, all of us do as well. Yeah, you're one that I know, and a few others that I can call and say, hey, I need a co-host. Can you step in? And Charity not once has ever said no, and neither did JD before, and my wife, Janan, as she wants me to call her, Janan. So she stepped in, and she's like, I want to go. So it's like, cool. You come in as the guest co-host. So,
Yep.
Guys, thank you for being here. And Brad, thank you for everything. It's nice to have Brad back in the studio. He's been really busy with work. And, gosh, he has a new grandson, a brand new grandson. He just came back from Florida and has a beautiful baby. He was showing us pictures of his grandson yesterday.
Cute.
Yeah, just a doll. And I don't know how your daughter did that. I mean, you said your daughter's like 5'2", and the baby was like 10 pounds.
10 pounds, 3 ounces.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, I tip my hat to her. Hey guys, we have a real special guest in our studio today, which, yes, I say that every week, and it's because every guest that comes in is special. That's how we like to see it. So, Hollie Bates, thank you so much for taking time out of your afternoon to come here and be with all of us. And again, Brad and I are lucky, man. We're in a room full of lovely ladies, so I think we've been blessed.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love how things are progressing, like with this show and that, because certain people that I know that now have been following us quite a bit, they are now coming to me and they're going, hey, I know somebody that might be interested in being on your show. And so our friend, Andrea Bangeter, reached out to me when we were at the gym and says, hey, I know this gal, you should reach out to her. And that's how you and I connected, right? Was
Yes.
just through her.
Through Andrea.
Yeah. She's a great lady.
Yes, she is.
Yeah, she's
an amazing woman.
She is an amazing woman. Yeah, and I
I'd
like
have to say yes to that too.
Yeah, she just made my wife had nice eyes before, but now she made them look really nice because she's doing her new stuff, and
Eyelashes,
she
yes.
helped her with that with some of her training. So very grateful. So thank you. Yeah. I still haven't got her to bat her eyelashes at me yet, though. But anyway, it's all good.
I just did.
Oh, sorry. All right. Hey, so we're going to read a little bit of a bio from Hollie. So she is 46 years old, or 46 years young, let's put it that way, with 4 beautiful boys and 2 grandchildren. She's been in recovery since February 28th of 2014 from meth, alcohol, marijuana, and pills. We want to get into the story a little bit more about when your addiction started. And then you just basically struggled with some relationships, which we've heard that quite a bit. One thing that breaks my heart here is you've had some domestic violence. That stuff I really have a hard time with, and it seems like some of the gals that have been on our show have dealt with that. Gosh, you had just gotten out of prison. You had about 6 years of a prison stay, right?
No, that was my husband.
Oh, that was your husband.
Yeah,
Okay,
that
so
was my husband.
I'm going down. So I'm glad you corrected that. So
I
yeah.
did get arrested. I did get arrested once I started doing meth.
Okay.
I was very, very, very quick, and when I started doing meth, I got in trouble with the law and got arrested and did some jail time, and then did my first rehab in 2001, and that's when that was my first try at getting sober. I did get sober off of meth, but it didn't last.
It didn't last too long.
No, it lasted about 5 years. I mean, I relapsed a year after, and then it didn't. I shortly got pregnant after with my youngest son, and then but pills and alcohol stayed in in this situation. So, and then I relapsed due to not being able to stay sober, off of the alcohol and pills. Yeah, I went right back to my drug of choice, which was meth. So,
So, it's said on there, and I'm pretty sure I read it right. So this all started at age 18,
yes.
right?
I started with marijuana and then alcohol. I hit alcohol pretty hard. My partying days, being young.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, I started with, alcohol and
Alcohol and
the
marijuana.
marijuana and alcohol. Yeah.
Did do you feel a lot of this started because a lot of our guests have come on, some type of childhood trauma happened, or the way they were raised, or something happened in their life, but then we've had other guests that have come on to where they're like, probably like every one of us sitting here right now. I know because I was a senior in high school when I tried marijuana for the very first time. We always drank alcohol, because you're getting invited to parties and different things like that. And some people just kind of fell into that where they're like, oh my gosh, this feels so great. I love who I am at this time. Which one of those was it for you?
I got pregnant at a young age. I got pregnant at 17. So, I had seen alcohol, dabbled in it a little bit when I was in high school. I didn't have a lot of childhood trauma. I did grasp for some attention. I had a twin sister who also got pregnant at 15.
Mm-hmm.
So, we had some issues there. So I think I was grasping for some attention that I needed, wanted. I never knew that being a latchkey kid was one of those things that, I had parents that worked extremely hard. I didn't realize that being a latchkey kid and, was one of those things that they or called kids that were raising themselves while parents were out working hard. But I recall wanting attention, and I grasped for attention through men, and that's just how it was. And so my relationships struggled, and so that's where my domestic violence came in. Being cheated on was a huge issue, and so that's where the alcohol came in, my partying days, and then all of a sudden that alcohol turned to meth, and that's how I dealt with those situations. There was I had a lot going on. A divorce. I was trying to file for a divorce. My mom got breast cancer. My grandma was dying of breast cancer.
Oh, geez.
And so when you're partying, you have 2 small children, you're filing for a divorce, and all these things are going on in your life. You don't know how to deal with it, and all of a sudden meth gets in the way of it, and it was good. You tried it once, and it was hook, line, and sinker, and so and that kind of took way of the alcohol, so the meth just took over, and it happened so fast, and it took me down really, really easy, really fast. Took my job, and so my two boys at the time, they just went with their dad, and there was no, it just took me down, and then I ended up locked up, thank God, and my parents were not going to put up with it, so they didn't enable it, which thank God they didn't, and so that was good. It was good, and I got arrested, and I got out, and then stayed sober, and I was able to hold down jobs while I was on pills and alcohol. But it took me right back down after 5 years, and it destroyed me. I don't have any easy way to say that there was any good times during those times, but it was 18 years of living hell on meth.
That's a long time, 18 years. I mean, I liked what you said about how your parents didn't enable you.
No, they didn't.
Because so many of us on the other side, we think we're helping and we're not.
No.
We're actually causing, as I've said many times, we're just pissing more fuel on the fire is basically what we're
Right.
doing. And I mean, my wife so many times too, she could get so manipulative that, you know, you finally just kind of fall in. So that's, I mean, hats off to your parents for recognizing it so quick and not, because so many of us make that mistake for so long. I mean, I made it for 7 years making the same mistakes, but 18 years, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was 18. Well, yeah, it was 18 years back and forth with the pills, the alcohol, and then so finally after 5 years, then the meth came back around, and I had bought a home. That went just as easily, and then so my husband got out of a 6-year stay of prison. So he wasn't, when my son was born, he never came back around, got locked up, and had gotten out when my youngest son was 6 years old, and that's addiction. So I was left without a father for my son for that long, and he got out and we got married, and I was in no way, shape, or form mentally right in my mind because I was high on meth, and he had gotten out, and of course everything, you know, he was going to give me the stars and the moon, and everything was going to be okay, and everything was good, and I believed that, you know, and I did get sober for a little while, but I had quit that good job that I had, and then eventually my house got foreclosed on. He eventually started getting high again, and we did get married, and for 9 years things were just hard. We could never get on the same page. We were never good, and he was good. He was able to keep down, you know, hold down jobs, but he was on methadone to keep himself stable, but I was never able to get stable. Domestic violence was in it. We couldn't stay good, and it was just hard. I mean, meth ruined every bit of me, physically, mentally, emotionally. I couldn't stay stable. My husband, you know, tried his best to keep a stable job. He was able to pay rent and keep a roof over my head and the kids' head, and the kids, you know, did the best that they could, and, you know, the kids were able to stay in school. So when one was down, one was up.
yeah.
That kind of thing. And then finally he was able to purchase a home, and this is in about 2012. I went to rehab, got sober for about a month, got out and got high that day, and then he bought a home, and in 2014, I mean, in that 2 year span, the 2012 2014, it was unbelievably miserable, and he started getting high on meth, and we just spiraled. And I'm lucky today to be alive, and he was lucky to be alive for that long. He started stealing, writing checks, and we couldn't afford to buy food for the kids. It was just unbelievable. It was every drug addict's nightmare. When you can't afford to buy food for your children, DCFS is getting involved, and I surrendered. I walked outside and asked God, can you help me? Will you help me? And that's exactly what happened. I was in fear. I didn't know where I was going to go. Psychosis had set in. I was hearing voices. And I remember thinking to myself, this is temporary. I don't know what happened to my mind. I'm not quite sure what had happened, but I remember saying, this is temporary. And I remember telling my drug dealer at the time, this has got to be temporary. This can't keep going. At some point this has got to stop. And I had never thought that before.
That was the first time.
That was the very
after all the shit that you've been through.
Yes. And I remember thinking to myself, this has got to be temporary. This can't keep going. Like I've had somewhat of a normal life before. I've worked 2 jobs at times. I know that something has to change. That was the very first time I thought to myself, this has got to be temporary. Because the water was getting shut off. At times I couldn't do laundry. I remember thinking the lies in my head started to be aware of, because I could hear my thoughts, and I could hear them. Like I could hear voices. And so something wasn't quite right. And I thought, this is where I'm mentally done. And so I walked outside to light up a cigarette and asked God to help me. And little by little, paranoia started to kick in. I mean, and I could do all kinds of drugs. I was pro at it, right? So I walked to the library with a meth pipe in my bag and turned around, and a cop was following me, and everything crazy just started to happen. I came home and busted a full meth pipe full of meth, and I never turned back around. Started to go to AA.
Holy cow.
Once a week. I started to help my son in school, and I have never turned back around since.
Man, for you to even just bust a meth pipe that was full of meth,
Yes.
because a lot of people would say, you know what,
Yep.
I'm going to do, and this will be my last
this
one.
Is done.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's always that next, when this one's done, I'm
Yeah.
done, and when this one's done, I'm done. That's incredible. I mean, I don't think we've had anybody on the show that just, I mean,
I hear it all the time, but
Yeah.
I mean, like in rehabs and stuff, I hear people say that, and every time I hear it, I think I could never have a full bottle of alcohol, or a half a bottle, or anything left in a bottle of alcohol, and say, no, I don't think so, or pour it down. I've done that for Al before. I poured one down right after I got out of a rehab, but it still didn't last very long. It was like 30 days later, I'm like, yeah, it's time to go again. But I have heard that quite a bit in rehabs, that they would dump their stuff that was in their pipe, or they'd have their aluminum foil and there was stuff in it, and they'd just throw it away. And I'm like, how do you do that? How? You know?
I didn't. I was so scared, full of desperation, full of fear, full of and weird. It wasn't that weird things were happening. It was that I prayed, please bring my husband back, and he would show up, and then things that I was like, okay, why is this happening to me? You know, little things like that, and then it was something happened. Like I just knew I was done.
Yeah.
I knew in my heart that I was done. And then once it happened, I just kept putting one foot in front of the other, and things just started to happen.
Yeah.
A job fell in place. My son would walk through the door and say, "Did you get food?" I mean, that was before I got sober, but that was what was heartbreaking. Did I get food? Was I able to, get my son food? I remember walking down the street to ask a neighbor for food because I didn't have any.
Yeah.
I was done. I couldn't do it anymore. Today I live a life, and I'm not saying that recovery is easy, because I will not BS anybody. I've been doing this for 8 years now. It is not easy. Is it worth it? Yep. Have I been through some horrible things? Yes. In 2017, I came home from a graveyard shift and found my husband dead of a heroin overdose. And my son was at home alone with him. It is not easy. but it's worth it, and I still go through hard things today. You
How,
know?
how old was your son at that time?
14.
14.
And I have my stepson, who I absolutely love and adore, and then I have my two older boys, and their life hasn't been easy either.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we pull our kids through living hell,
Mm-hmm. We do.
and we leave them with trauma, and we also leave them with the responsibility of them having to heal their traumas.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult. The only gift I can give today is for them knowing that I have resources for them to heal, that they can heal, and that they're capable of it. But recovery is worth it, and they can do it. And there's people like us left.
Well, and that's got to help your boys too, to see how far you've come and go through the battles that you've gone through since you've been sober, but to still stay sober, because we hear it all the time where life punches you in the gut, because it always has a way of doing it.
Oh, yeah.
As soon as you think you got your shit together, it's like, no, here's reality. Boom.
Right.
You know.
That's my hope. I mean, I hope that not just my kids, my boys, I hope they see it. I mean, my boys definitely have their battles to you know, that they have to go through, and they definitely do, but that other people's children do see that too.
Yeah.
You know, or that that I guess that's the message that I hope everybody's children with addicts, with people in recovery, that they get that too.
Yeah. And it trickles down. I mean, it really does trickle down.
It absolutely does.
It does.
You know,
It
yeah.
does. And it's one of my greatest hopes is for my son to watch me heal and to see that it's possible. And, you know, there is that hope that it has that trickle effect, that it passes on to those that surround him, to those that end up surrounding me. We do. We put them through a lot. And you know, you made me think of, you know, that moment that I initiated that painful conversation with my son. And he was like, oh, no, you were great. You were always a great mom. And I says, listen, I'm calling BS, because I wasn't great. You had to watch this. I understand and am aware of what I put you through. And that did not help you feel safe or comforted. And that's a hard thing to do when you have that moment where you're like, no, I completely traumatized you.
Isn't it funny how I've had, I think it was my oldest said, no, Mom, it's okay, or, you know, we're fine, we're good. It's not okay.
No.
And
Yeah.
sometimes they don't acknowledge it, and they won't, or it's not. When I started doing inner child work and thought, because I've always thought my parents were perfect. I've never even brought this up to my parents, but I've always put my parents on top of this pedestal and thought that they were perfect. I started doing inner child work and started to remember a few things, and nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
Nobody is
Yeah.
perfect, and I don't think that anybody wants to be recognized as perfect. And when they say, no, Mom, it's good, it's no, look, you need them to recognize that we do remember what we did.
Yeah.
We do know how we were, and it's okay to say, you know, because it's not okay what we've done. It's not okay how, you know, things have happened. But
I
Yeah.
think at times too, they're afraid of really saying what they want to say, in fear of hurting you. Because
Yes.
we
Yeah.
had two people on the show, a mom and a daughter, and it was the first time that the daughter ever shared with her mom what it was like growing up with an addict. And
wow,
you could tell how hard it was for her. They were sitting in these two chairs, and I remember her mom kept holding her hand, going, "It's okay. It's okay. I can handle it." You can.
Yeah.
You could see how hard it was for her daughter to get it out, and it took some time, but she finally got it out. And to see how each one was looking at the thing, and it was, according to them, which I don't think they'd lie to us, but it was so therapeutic for both of them because they finally got to get it out,
Yeah.
you know. And yeah, the daughter, even though the daughter didn't have a mom there all the time, yet the daughter was there still trying to protect her mom,
Yeah.
you know. And it was so cool to see her come out and finally say, Mom, this is how I felt. This is what it looked like to us. It was so powerful, especially the part where Tiffany shared the reason why she left
The
her
mom.
kids. Yeah, the mom. She left the kids because she's like, I don't want my kids to be around my addiction. It's not safe for them. So she left.
I left my older two, and because I didn't need to be around him. I didn't. No, I thought that was the best thing for him. I always knew I could go back.
Mhm.
I always knew my ex-husband was going to let me go back. I couldn't, but my youngest son, I never left. I couldn't, there was no way in leaving him. So he was always with me. I couldn't leave him, but
Yeah.
my two oldest I left with my ex-husband, but I couldn't leave him.
Now, do you think they, and maybe they do now, I don't know if they did then, probably not, but that's what was really kind of neat to see with Talia, right? That's her name. Was
Talia.
Talia
Yep.
was Tiffany's daughter, the mom's daughter. She goes, we thought you left us because the drugs and alcohol were more important than us. And she's like, no. I mean, yes, I went off to go do that, but I did it because I didn't want you around. So it was so cool to see how each one was looking at it. She was doing it to protect her kids, that she felt was the right way of protecting her kids. Her kids looked at it as, my mom doesn't care about us. She's going to go off and go do this. So it was so neat to see that connection come together. I don't know if you've had that chance with your kids yet, or
No, but I was always able to go back around. I mean, unfortunately, my ex-husband was also addicted, so I was also able to go back around. There was also that connection with him and I. From a child's perspective, I've also heard with death. I mean, I haven't been able to get my children's perspective from my oldest. From a death perspective with addiction, my youngest son, which is gut-wrenching, after my husband died, my youngest said, "It's okay, Mom, go ahead, admit it, he didn't love us."
Wow.
So it leaves a sense of not loving, well, I'm thinking from his point of view, like he didn't love us.
Mm-hmm.
So
And he just left us.
Can I want to say something right there. My dad died of a heroin overdose. When I was an adult. Me and Al were very first together, I think. Well, no.
Just
It was-
married.
Yeah, we just got married.
Mhm.
And my dad and I were not on good terms because of his addictions. He was addicted to anything that he could get high off of, pretty much. It's what they call a trash junkie. Yeah. So, and we were not on good terms. I mean, he was not my father that I grew up with, you know. He called my daughter a bitch one day. What kind of grandparent calls their daughter that, you know? Or their granddaughter that. Things like that. Just lots of mean things came out of his mouth. And so I had told my mom that he wasn't welcome at my house. And that she was, of course, but he wasn't. And 2 days before he died, she came to my home and he was with her. and I told him he had to stay outside. And that was one of the biggest regrets I had after he died. But I did feel the same way as your son did. And I was 35 years old, and I still felt that way. Mm-hmm. It took me going into addiction to realize what my dad was going through, you know? It wasn't about who he cared about or who he didn't care about. It was about he couldn't get out of that. You know, some of us are able to get out of that and some of us aren't. And he just couldn't get out of it, you know? And I just wanted to mention that because it came up for me when you told me that he died.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what it's really, that's the way I look at it now, is that, you know, I had to go through this in order to see what my dad went through, in order to be able to forgive him for the things that he did and said, in order to move past that, the whole relationship that we had while he was under the influence of something else.
Right.
So.
And with addiction, you know what you're doing, yet you don't know what you don't know, because you're so sucked into your own experience and your own gaping wounds that you're trying to fill, that you don't recognize that there really is more to the picture. At least for me, that was my experience. I didn't know. I loved, but I didn't know love. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't know the full depth of what love really means.
Mm-hmm. I had no idea. I had no idea what love was. Still am trying to figure it all out.
Yeah, me too.
With 8 years in, I thought I knew what it was when I got into recovery, at the beginning. And then I was like, yeah, this is love. And then I was like, wow. And then my husband died, and I was like, death and love. And then and now I'm still, and I've found a new boyfriend now, and now I'm still trying to figure it all out. I'm still, how do you love two people? How do you move forward? How do you, and then, and love is so many different things. And it's
And navigating grief with it too.
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
No, that's a good point. Yeah.
And grief doesn't go away.
No.
It never
No,
goes. It
It's
doesn't.
messy. It's sloppy. It's.
Nope.
Oh man. Yeah.
It doesn't go away. It doesn't. Trying to explain that to somebody, and then it doesn't go away. The missing them doesn't go away. The anger doesn't go away. It comes and goes.
I've had such amazing epiphanies, regarding my own husband's death.
Mm-hmm.
But the truth is I still have moments where I'm like, I think I'm still pissed at you, dude.
Yeah.
And I'm pissed because I miss you, and I wish you were here, and I wish, that our son had him. It changes over time, but it never, there is a peace that comes, but it's this roller coaster ride.
How long's your husband been gone?
It's been 20 years.
Has it?
See, and
And it's still
comes back. With you saying that, Charity, and even with what you're saying, Holly, we had a guest on earlier show, and she lost her 4-year-old son in a drowning accident. She said he would be 22 now,
yeah.
and she said she still has those same moments, where she's like, he's still here, and then she realizes that he's not. And so with you saying that grief never leaves, I'm seeing it, and I'm feeling it, even though thank goodness, nothing as tragic like that has happened in my life. I've lost good friends, really good friend 4 or 5 years ago, or maybe 6 years ago. Grandparents and things like that, and it's people that you love and people that you adore, but it's not a child, it's not a spouse, where basically that connection and that love, as you say. And I think when it comes to love, I think we're all trying to figure that out, because some people
That's
look
true.
at love as, oh, if you need me, okay, I'll be there, you know, I love you, but it's a lot more. That's why I think some people like pets, because they're like, pets, it's unconditional love. You can scold them, and 30 seconds after you scold them, they're right back on your wagging their
looking at
tail.
you like
Yeah.
you're the bee's knees.
Yeah, it's like, so what? You just chewed me out. Okay, I still love you, you know, and they're so happy to see you all the time. But question for you. Was it, I mean, a lot of people that get introduced to things, alcohol and drugs and that, was it your first relationship that got you into the meth part of things, or was it just something you just happened to be at a party one day or something?
No, I actually asked a friend.
Oh,
I asked
okay.
her. I was at the club, and I knew a girl that used it. It was actually a friend that I grew up with, and knew that she had it, and I asked her. I can't remember if I asked her or she asked me, and she came over to my house, and that was all she wrote. Or yeah, I was at the club, and I asked her, and she came over to my house, and that's how it started, and that's how it
Just kind of took from there.
that's how it
When you were
Yeah.
describing it in the beginning, how it was, like, it didn't take much, you know. I have heard that so much. I've never tried meth ever, and that's why, because that's what I've always heard, is that it's the end. It's pretty much, to me, in my opinion, I've never tried it, but I call it the devil.
it is
Because because I've seen what it's done to people. I've been around people that do it, and it just destroys them. Like, within a couple weeks, they're destroyed. Besides what they look like, they destroy their it destroys their family. It destroys everything around them.
Yeah.
They don't care about anything. Like, if their kids are getting fed, like you were saying. I mean, if their clothes look nice, if their hair's brushed, you know, they don't. It doesn't matter anymore.
Well, I thought I looked good. I ended up when I got locked up. I ended up about 92 pounds. I was locked up for about 6 months. Came out at 160 pounds. It did nothing for my teeth.
Yeah.
I have nothing. I've changed my thoughts. Worked on changing I've done a lot of changing my thought process. I can't tell you. I mean, the one thing that I don't do is I don't I've never craved it. I don't, so I'm very lucky there. I don't crave it. I've not relapsed. I've been very extremely lucky there. But I don't. I try to keep my thoughts positive. You know, I try to listen to a lot of positive things in the morning. You know, if it's not, I've changed a lot of my, like, I don't listen to a lot of negative music. I like to listen to a lot of positive music, positive, uplifting affirmations, positive, like positive meditation. I go back and forth with a lot of different things. Positive, like Oprah Winfrey, listening to positive talks in the morning, different things like that. So trying to keep my thoughts positive, making sure I'm aware of what my thoughts are, doing different things like that. I'm not a big reader. I like to listen to audiobooks if I am. I'm not a big...
That's what I need to do.
I'm not big up on that, but like if I do read a book, then, you know, if it's got to be audio so that I can listen to it. But just trying to, you know, a lot of good hints with AA but I don't get absorbed in a lot of those things because I like to grow with different stuff. But just, you know, my mom always says advice is free, you know, but only take what works for you.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's, I did end up using the needle. I will say this, addiction progresses.
Right.
I'm not, this isn't advice, this is my opinion. And if I'm ever working with somebody who wants, working with someone, I don't ever advise someone to, oh, if you're on meth and you want to get clean, go ahead, drink alcohol, see if that works for you. I'm not big up on that. If you want to get clean, get clean.
Yeah.
Don't go think that you can abuse alcohol and think that that's going to work for you. I'm an absolute firm believer that you will end up right back at your drug of choice and it will kill you.
It's true.
My husband is dead today because of that. I mean, and I went right back to my drug of choice and ended up, I didn't use very much, but I probably used 10 times on the needle, but I progressed. Addiction is progressive, and you keep going and you keep going and you keep going until either you're dead, locked up in institutions, or homeless, or you keep going.
You just keep going. Yep.
You just keep going, or you're going to pick another drug of choice. I'm not judgmental. I don't like to be judgmental, so I think what works for you, you got to find it, but be careful.
Yeah.
You know, I also believe that when you're working on your traumas, you know, if you have to back up for a while and not work on it until you're really stable and okay here, wait till you do. Wait, because if you're not strong enough and you're not ready enough and you're not working with somebody who can really help you, don't do it.
Yeah.
Because your sobriety is what's important.
That is for sure.
And if you don't have a good foundation and you don't have the right people and you don't have your tribe, I'm not big up on having a huge tribe, but you've got your whole life to be sober. Take your time, find your right people, reach out, and get a good foundation. Find your right people and reach out. There's a lot of good people to reach out to.
I love that you said, if you're not ready,
don't do it.
Because I've heard so many times, plus with my wife, you work to try to work towards that sobriety, and it doesn't work, and you fall back. Then what does an addict do? They beat themselves up because they failed. See, I'm a failure. I still couldn't do it. Then they'll try it again, and it doesn't work again. So they're like, I'm a failure. See, this is why I do what I do. You know, and we've heard it on the show with many of our guests. I watched my wife go through it. But when she was, and her sponsor used to tell me all the time, she's like, Al, she's not ready. She's not, she thinks she is, but she's not ready. And she knew because she went through the whole damn process too. But when she was ready,
I was ready.
I saw something totally change. Even though when she's like, I'm serious this time. I know you've heard this so many times. I'm never going to drink again, and I'm not going to. It's like,
and
shit.
And God came to me when I was in jail.
Yeah, it's like
He's like, I've heard that
I've
so
heard
many
this.
times. I'm like, I know, but this is different. I've heard that
so many times.
I'm like, no, you don't understand. He was holding me.
Yeah, so I like that you said that. If you're
Yes,
not quite, if you're not ready to
really do the work.
Yeah, because it takes
just
work.
Happens when you are ready. It's like
so,
I said,
yeah.
Eureka. You know, a switch flips and you're like, this is it. I'm done. And you just do.
You just do it.
It doesn't mean it's easy. It's hard.
It's a constant fight.
Yeah. And
did you have more?
By
Did you
all
have
means,
more?
go
Okay.
ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, let's let's break for a quick commercial. I think we've gone about a half hour, 40 minutes already. Unbelievable that it goes by so quick.
It does.
But yeah, let's stop for a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
How do you start your morning? Start it with a cup of High Point coffee. Because no matter where you go or what you do, it's always better with coffee. High Point coffee. What's your high point? Located on the corner of 7800 South and Redwood Road in West Jordan. And a special thanks goes out to our partners in Oxford, Mississippi.
This is Gregory, owner of Lift Up Concrete, proudly serving the Wasatch Front for the last 12 years, lifting sunken flatwork for both residential and commercial applications. Only fully trained professionals lifting concrete at your residence with the same quality of material and method used at every commercial job we ever do. Don't replace it, lift it. liftupconcrete.net, 801-792-4535. Contact us at liftupconcrete.net, or if you're looking for a complimentary quote, 801-792-4535. Again, 801-792-4535. Again, this is Gregory, Lift Up Concrete Lifting.
Hello, my friends. This is Brad Neufeld, and I want to thank you for tuning in to the Resilience Talk Network. You can listen to my show, Resilience, every morning, Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. On my show, we will be discussing what it takes for you to overcome the day-to-day challenges that all of us face in life, as well as some of the devastating ones that may lead us to feelings of hopelessness and despair. It's my goal to provide you with the tools and skills that you need to overcome anything that is thrown your way. To find out more about my show, visit our website at www.resiliencetalk.com. That's www.resiliencetalk.com. And as always, until we meet again, go for everything that you want in life and make it happen.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the second half of The Other Side of Addiction with our special guest, Hollie Bates, and our special co-hosts today. So guys, thank you for everything. Greatly appreciate you guys being here. Wink,
You're welcome,
wink.
love.
Wink, wink. Wow, that's the first time I've had one of our guest co-hosts call me love.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm liking this.
Only if it's for me, right?
Yes, of course. Yeah, I only say that though when you're not here though. No, I'm just joking. Yes, babe. Hey, before we get into the second half of the show, just want to say thank you to our sponsors. We have got some great sponsors that we're very grateful for. Gosh, a new one that came in today, Rick Heaton, attorney at law, personal injury. Love the kid, and the reason why I love the kid so much is because he's married to my daughter. He's a great human being, a great father, and a great husband. So he's a personal injury, and he also is very fluent in Spanish. So if anybody's looking for a good attorney with personal injury, you'll see his commercial up on the show. So Rick, thank you so much. Also want to say thank you to Refiner Productions, Camera and Austin. Love you guys to death. Taffy Town, thank you so much for your support and kindness. USARA, Utah Support Advocates for Recovery Awareness. Love you guys out there. Janan, my wife, is still going out there working with Tiffany Nakarado, who is just incredible. She is just a great human being, awesome support person. High Point Coffee, thank you guys. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be right here where we're at, because you're the one that helped get all this thing started. We've got Lift Up Concrete out of Kaysville, our good friends Gregory and Tosh. Great people. So if you have settled or sunken concrete, please give them a call. Serve Pro, Brad out at West Jordan Serve Pro. Thank you. We just want to say thank you to the Serve Pros from Ogden all the way down to St. George. And my friends Letitia and Kevin over at Computer Hospital in Sandy, 8721 South State Street. Guys, if you have computer issues, take your computer to them first, and they will be very upfront with you and honest. They're not there to steal you blind. And I know every single one of these people that I mentioned. I know the owners, and I know the people very, very well. They're good people. They are great business people, and they're there to help any way they can. And also thank you to our listeners, and Brad, Resilience Talk Network. Thank you for everything that you do, and thank you to all our past guests and past co-hosts and past guest co-hosts, and just thank you everybody. Man, I love y'all. I could spend 15 minutes giving thanks out, but it's because this wouldn't be happening if it wasn't for everybody. So, Hollie, my gosh, you've been through a lot, girl, and you have come a long ways. Something that really stuck with me during the first half of the show is you just finally said you had enough, and you said you grabbed a cigarette, walked outside, had your smoke, and just said, God, I'm done. And we've heard that so many times on the show. We've heard people saying, looking in the mirror, like what Melissa had. We've heard people saying they were visited. My wife was one. But it's like when you finally get to that point and you throw up your hands going, I cannot do this alone. It's amazing where things start turning. And it sounds like that's exactly what happened with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is right on their beat, and it helps them.
Yes.
We heard something else in the background, but yeah. I'm like, holy cow, it's happening.
Speaking of revelation.
My gosh, it's happening right now. So, I mean, you said that you started noticing a difference, just little steps at a time, right?
Yes. And I keep taking those steps. I haven't stopped. I just kept going. I believe in a higher power, so I never thought I could write. I always, when I was in my addiction, I wrote a lot, so I never thought I could write. And I mean, some people who don't believe in that higher power or whatever, if you do, you don't take it or leave it. Something happened. If religious or not, when I stepped outside and said that, something happened. You don't just have an addiction for 18 years and all of a sudden ask God to help you, because I was spiritually bankrupt, what they call it. I didn't have that spiritual connection. You don't have that when you're using or in your addiction. And so I was definitely spiritually bankrupt, and I walked outside and things just started to happen. The devil doesn't want you when you're doing crappy things, because you're working for the devil. And I was working for him. So things just started to happen. One cool thing that happened, like I said, I couldn't even afford to buy my kid food. When he walked in and said, "Did you go to the food bank?" I lived in the cutest little house out in Magna. The cutest little house out in Magna, but it was a drug house. So when I definitely surrendered, I didn't know how I was going to get water. It was definitely soon to get shut off. I was losing the house. My husband was nowhere to be found. I didn't know what I was doing. I was calling my mom, panicking. She came over and was like, "You're going to detox. The dog's going to the pound. You're doing this. Your son's going here." And I looked at her and I was like, "I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm sober and I'm not. The dog's not going here. My son's not going there, and you're not telling me what to do." And she was like, "No, well, okay, Holly." Like, I think she was pretty much fed up with me, but at that point, nobody was going to tell me what to do. I had no idea what I was going to do. DCFS wasn't going to help me. They were like, "Okay, you're going to have to figure this out." But I complied with DCFS. And so, I don't know, it was about, I think it was 2 weeks later, and there was a knock at the door. And it was a movie crew, like a
production crew?
Production crew.
Mm-hmm.
They knocked at the door and said, "Is there any way that we could do a movie at your house? We'll pay you $1,500, and we'll pay you $1,500, put you and your dog and your kid up in a hotel, and we can film a movie here." And I was like, "You want to film a movie in my home?" And they were like, "Yeah, we want to film. This is the cutest house." And I was like, I had just gotten sober, didn't know how I was gonna. Things just start to happen when you start to do the right thing.
It's so true.
Okay.
Wow.
So that was the first thing. So then I was like, I can pay the water, I can buy food, and that is exactly what happened. So they gave me a check, cut me a check, started filming at my house. Here's me and my little boy walking down to Family Dollar to fill the fridge full of food, walking with groceries. That was the first time. I mean, getting on the bus, then I was able to buy more food to fill my fridge full of groceries. I was able to go to my first family party at my mom's house. I know she wasn't very happy with me, but it's the smallest things when a drug addict becomes sober that it's the smallest things that start to happen. I was able to buy a car for $300. I was able to work at Maverick, and then the smallest things start to happen. I was able to get a job as a CNA and start going to school to become a CNA, and then the smallest things start to come into place or fall into place. If you think that God or something spiritual isn't happening, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
So a year ago, somebody gave me a journal, and I looked at that journal offered a journal and said, "Would you like a journal?" And I thought, and this is only one of many, 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 many miracles or spiritual things that have happened to me. Would you like a journal? And I thought, well, maybe I'll start to write. I won't write anything big. I won't write anything huge, right? So I started out with God, Jesus, angels, universe, and spirit. And that's who I write to every day. And I'm able to write my prayers or what I need to do, or God, please help me with my thoughts, or I pray for my children, or I pray for my parents, or I pray for the addict who still suffers. I pray for anybody. So even if you just are having a bad day and you need somebody to vent to, or you need somebody to say, "Hey, I need help," just try and ask and see what happens. I'm not saying that it might work, but see in a couple days what happens. If you're struggling with addiction and you don't think that anyone's listening, or that an angel might be listening to you, or a spirit, or God, or Jesus, just ask and see what happens.
That is so powerful. And as soon as she said that, what popped in my head was yesterday when Lindsay said that she had gotten high and all this stuff and then jumped on a bus. Mm-hmm. And there was a guy behind her that said, hey, would you like to go to a meeting? And that was the last time that she used.
Was it?
And and we were talking about it. It was the angel on the bus. It was the angel on the bus, you know, and she was wanting to get help as well, but she didn't know how to do it.
And after they went into the meeting, he gave her a bus ticket home.
A bus ticket home.
But they come in human form as well.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
They do.
They come in human form. They
Yes.
come in many different forms, animal forms. They come in, I mean, you never know what God sends. You don't know what Jesus sends. You don't know. I'm not a religious person, but I believe that they come in many, many, many different forms, and you never know who sends them. So,
Well, and
if you need help, ask.
I think there's a difference between being religious and being spiritual.
Yes.
Yes.
Because, and you just read a quote from the LDS president, right? That Janan saw this thing the other day and read it that was posted on Facebook. The president of the LDS Church wrote this thing about the difference between religious people and spiritual people. So just because somebody doesn't feel comfortable going to church doesn't mean that they don't believe.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and you said it, God will use other people to answer your prayers. He will use other things. He will lead you down a different path so you meet the proper person or something. So yeah,
Comes as a thought.
comes
that
as
you
a
can't
thought.
explain. I
Yep.
get a lot of animal messages.
Angel numbers.
Yes.
I just had
Yes.
one. I just took a picture of a screenshot earlier. I just happened to double check my phone, and guess what it said on there? 222. I'm like, up, take a picture.
1111.
1111.
1111 is a big one. I see 1111 a lot. 33.
Oh,
333.
I see 33 a lot, and one that I'm really liking to see a lot is the 555. And last
Yes.
night I saw 1010.
Yes. Those are big. Yeah.
Yeah.
I see angel numbers all the time. I'm big on angel numbers and angels. So I love that. Yeah.
So one thing too, with you saying, with all these little teeny miracles that started happening to you, and I'm sure everybody here can attest for this. So I've had other people say that they've prayed, and I've said this same thing. So I'm not saying I'm not guilty of it, because I am guilty of it, where I have prayed for things and said, okay, nothing's happening. And I had a friend tell me, good friend that we've known each other since we were 17, 18 years old, lives in Colorado, and we used to party a lot back in the days. You know, we worked construction. You always party when you work construction. But anyway, we've both changed. And I remember him telling me once, he goes, maybe you're not listening. I went, maybe I'm not listening. And I'm just kind of letting it roll off my shoulders. I started thinking about it a little bit more, and I wasn't listening. And I think that's where some people go, okay, well, I've prayed and nothing's happening. No, there's probably something happening. You are just not listening, and you're not looking, because there are things that happen every single day.
And sometimes things don't happen the way you want them to, but they happen the way
They're-
God wants them to.
Yes,
wants
good
them to
point. I'm
happen.
glad you brought that up. Yeah.
And in
In
God's
the end, it's the way it's supposed to be anyway.
and
yeah.
Yeah.
in God's timing. It's not going to be in your timing. It's going to be in God's timing.
And it might
And
not always be the way you want.
Right.
It's always
Right.
what's meant for you.
Yeah. Yeah, because if you go back, I bet you you probably have it down in your journals, because you say that you're writing there, but I bet you if you go back and start thinking of things that has happened, because I have done that, I have gone back and looked at how life was. I mean, there was times when I'm like, I don't have the money to make a car payment, or I don't have this, and it wasn't really due to the addiction. It's because I chose not to punch a clock again for a corporation. I was going to do things my own way, but somehow, some way, things always seem to work out. I go back and look, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this was terrible back then, but wait a minute, this happened, you know. And so for those of you that are listening to what Hollie said, make sure you pay attention, because there is something that's happening.
Yes.
So, and I'm sure you're still seeing little miracles happening all the time,
Yes.
even in all the years that you've been sober.
Yes, I'm an overthinker. I overthink a lot of things. My son's in. My son just moved to Boston for college, and trying to get him home for the holidays, and stressing and thinking, and overthinking. How am I going to get home? How am I going to do this? How am I going to? And really, I just need to like calm down and go, okay, ask for help. It's going to be okay. And then when I ask for help, then I need to just calm down, and everything always works out when I just need to, and I write in my journal, I just need to surrender, give it, I just need to give it to God, or just, okay, help me, just take a deep breath. Everything's going to be okay. And really it all ends up working out, and it does. It always ends up working out no matter what, but when you're stressing about it and, overthinking doesn't work.
No, for me it creates more barriers and more.
All it does is cause anxiety and stress
Yeah.
and worry.
Well, and fear and all that is the opposition's strengths.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just giving our power back over to him,
Yes.
and
So true.
it happens to every single one of us pretty much on a daily basis. But when you start recognizing it to where you can shift it, because as we hear all the time, we're just human.
Yes.
That's going to happen. We are the only creature on this earth that sit and dwell on things. I mean, no other animal out there does it. They get chased by a mountain lion and they get free. They don't dwell it. They got chased by a mountain lion. They just continue to go about their business.
We talk about shaking it off, but do we?
Yeah, but do we? Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Takes a minute to go, oh yeah, I'm supposed to do this.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm still alive. That's what I should be concentrating on. I'm still alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how is it for your family now? I mean, they have got to be damn proud of you. I mean, right?
I hope. Yes.
Yeah.
I hope. I just sent my son to Boston for college. I got all my boys are successful in work and what they're doing. I just had a beautiful grandbaby daughter.
Really?
And I
Awesome.
I have a grandson, so I hope they are. I mean, they say they are. So yeah, 8 years. I'm coming up on 8 years in February. So yeah, it's good. I have a very supportive boyfriend who supports me a lot, helps me with a lot of my emotional roller coaster
Do you
rides.
still have that house
Which
in Magna?
No, that one, no. I have, but I bought it. I've been able to, in my 8 years of my sobriety, I've been able to fix my credit and buy a new home, and I'm very I see signs. So after my husband died, I started connecting spiritually and seeing a lot of different signs. So I see signs like feathers and doves and
Ooh,
I
I like feathers.
feathers. Yeah, so I like see things that way. Like I always believe in signs. I'm huge believer in signs that way. So his death was definitely, I see as now, there's, I don't want to say, maybe, there was blessings in it.
Blessings.
And yes.
Mhm.
I mean, both of my younger boys definitely have missed their dad horribly, but they've had their they've thrived in their own ways and are very successful in their own ways, and doing great, and miss their dad horribly, but tragic, but dang, addiction is mean.
Mm-hmm.
It's not nice.
It is.
But we're all healing, and it takes a long time to heal from something like that, especially my son, being at home with him was difficult, but he's getting past it and moving through it, and and you know, they have to heal from what marks we left behind, and like I said, but and I'm still learning for me, and still have a lot of I'm not done. I am
Of course not,
I
yeah.
am not done yet. I'm not done yet. I'm doing a lot of my emotional processing, and still am learning and going through my stuff, and refuse to be done. So until I'm, you know, I still have my triggers and my bad things that I have to go through, or I have some of my things that I still have to correct, and it takes a long time too. So, but it's so worth it. It's so, if there's anything I have to tell an addict who's using, and if turn around and make another decision to just, you know, whatever you have to go through, grab a recovered addict's hand and make that move, because it really is worth it. It's not worth it to keep going. You can another recovered addict can help you out of it. So it's definitely worth it, but it's not easy. I won't BS you. I won't BS you. It's hard, but it's very much worth it.
And we hear that all the time, right?
Yeah.
We hear people say that, and you've even said it to me many times, that some days it's a bugger, you know, but to see the miracles, I mean, we've seen it on our side with my wife and I, you know, because she didn't get to see the grandkids for a long time. My
4
daughter's
years.
son-in-law decided, and it's not that she was ever drunk around the kids, because she wasn't, but it was kind of that trust factor. And now that has come back. You know, she's going to soccer games with me. We're going and watching the grandkids. It's our oldest granddaughter's birthday today, and we're going to plan a time where, because our thing is we get to take them out, and they get to pick where they want to eat, and they get to pick if they want to go shopping or if they want to do something else. And
That's a big deal.
she's going to get to,
Yes.
you know, and her sponsor even told her when she called her up and said she got to see the grandkids for the first time, go to a soccer game, you know, her sponsor says, hey, the blessings will just keep coming as long as you just keep going.
They do.
You know?
Yeah, that's one thing I'm grateful for, is that my grandkids have never seen me like that. My boys, I mean, I remember when I got in recovery and I'd go through pictures and I'm like, I was high there. I can tell you what I was on there. I know what I was on there. I was high in that picture. I was probably drunk there. And I was like, dang, Hollie, can you find a picture? Can you find a picture that you weren't, that you were even remotely sober on? Because I can't. I mean, 18 years is a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I know that, I mean, I know what I was on.
Yeah.
And now I've got 8 years under my belt, and I was like, okay, you know,
I look good.
yeah, you know, like I have some time now where I can say I'm sober, you know. Well, but my grandkids get that, and I get to have days where I'm trusted. I'm the babysitter, you know. It feels good to, you know,
Have that trust.
Yeah, and you'll get there. But yeah, I mean, I don't miss those days. I don't miss DCFS or I don't miss the chaos of any of the domestic violence. I mean, me and my boyfriend now, we can yell at each other and I love you. I told him this morning when we got into a little argument, I love you and I don't like you right now. I don't like you right now. I still love you. I mean, we can get in these little arguments, but it is nothing like it used to be.
Right.
Nothing. And I can tell that because it's the healing from everything. So even though it feels weird. I can't remember who I said that to the other day. The healing part, even, and I don't, for me, even when I was in AA and I did my steps, that was different, and now my healing today is much different. And it's because, and I don't know how to explain this,
It keeps evolving.
Yes, like you're doing. You grow out of that part, and now you're at this part, and the healing is much different, because I remember speaking in AA and saying, "Oh my gosh, I just gutted myself from everything." Well, now this is like the inner child work, and it is so much different, and then healing from different kinds of abuse, and I had somebody ask me yesterday different questions, and it's like, wow, these are different questions from then what you do in the AA book and stuff. But if you keep going and you keep evolving, I think there's so much more freedom.
Right.
And
like when I had that 13 months sober that we were talking about earlier, it's like I did the steps then too. And this time I haven't done the steps. My sponsor has me doing codependent steps. Which are good, I mean, but it's like I haven't really worked very hard on them. I'm still on the first one. And more of my, it's like you were saying, more of my healing is way different than what I was doing before, because it's more my choice of what I'm doing, and I'm doing what I think I need, you know, and it's a lot deeper than I went through the steps with, you know, because I want to get those old feelings that I used to have out, and I want to heal from them and just be done with them. And before, I wasn't getting it all out, and I wasn't learning how to get rid of them, you know. The codependency I'm doing the codependency a little bit more now, but the codependency, I was like, I'm not touching that. I don't want anything to do with that. That's how I was before.
I felt like it was going to change. It was going to make me change the mom that I was, because I feared it.
Yeah.
I didn't want it. I didn't want anybody changing the mom that I was. I didn't feel like there was anything wrong with me.
Right.
But more and more I got, I guess I could see the codependency in me with my husband, and I didn't want anybody to not accuse me. I don't know what I wanted, but I didn't want anybody to point their finger at me and say, it was your fault that he died. Because I made it cozy and kept going back and forth. We had a horrible relationship. Oh, it was the codependency in you too. I'm sure it was. We kept going back. There was the codependent. We depended on each other, those kinds of things. I didn't know what that was, and I definitely didn't know what codependency meant.
Right.
And so I feared that, and then I thought it was mostly the kids, with the kids enabling and this and that. And I knew that my parents didn't enable me.
Right.
So I definitely feared
I had that fear too, because I was like, there's nothing wrong with me and Al's relationship. You know, it was just because I wanted to be around him 24/7. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, in a sense, there's nothing wrong with that, and to the fact that, because codependency is really not about that. It's really about being your own person.
I know.
Right. You know, so there's nothing wrong with being wanting to be with somebody 24/7, as long as you're being your own person, you know? And once I started reading it, I was like, see, there is nothing wrong with our relationship. It's just fine, you know? So I was like, oh, okay, so it's not so bad. It's more about what you were just saying. It's like, I don't know how to say what you were just saying. I just lost the thought.
Being afraid of it?
No, it's about not thinking about what other people think of you.
Right.
It's being your own person and being okay with who you are, so it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks about it. You know, that's more about what codependence is all about.
Right.
You know?
And my experience is so different, but I really love hearing this because you both just gave me something else to consider for myself. And, you know, I heard the word codependency a lot, and I think deep down I knew that was me.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you just called me out. I was scared of it, so I didn't dive into it. But my experience going into it came with getting sober. I mean, so much happened for me so fast that I got really overwhelmed, which was scary for me because I was like, I don't want to screw up my progress because
Yeah.
I got crazy overwhelmed. And here I am feeling all confident. I'm going to walk through this door and everything's going to be great. And boom, straight off the cliff into the void. And I was like, oh, man. And I went into a depression after that. But I think I was terrified of learning that and what would come with it and what it meant. And, you know, especially when I started, like I said, everything was hitting me all at once. And here I am learning, you know, hey, codependency is, in fact, kind of a form of narcissism. And I was like, oh, my God. Having a meltdown. And
when I heard about narcissism, and narcissism was the other one that just hit me. And that's a slap in the, not just a slap in the face, a punch in the gut.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then when you're trying to figure out who is, especially when it comes to relationships, it was like, okay, whoa, wait a minute. Is that me? Or was that him? Who? And then trying to figure it all out, it's horrible.
Mm-hmm.
So overwhelming, and finding out how everything actually interplays. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, this is devastating to me.
It was devastating to me. Devastating. And then I started to look at the relationship that I was in now, my past relationships,
mm-hmm.
and then I was like, okay, how does this work? It was awful. And then I started to look at other people. It was awful.
Oh, yeah.
I had to stop.
It's hard. It's really hard, and I have had to take a break from it for a little bit just to kind of get some bearing under me. And it allowed some other things to kind of play out as well.
Yeah,
but
it's horrible. I am with you.
I
I was like, I can't do this. And
Narcissism is scary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I had never really looked at it as I'm afraid of going there. And thank you.
Yeah, I'm afraid. Yeah, I couldn't. I looked into it, and then I was like, okay, I need to stop. And then I read Codependency No More. And then after I said, okay, I don't think I told my therapist, I said, I started talking about codependency, and then I told her why I was scared of it. And then the whole narcissist thing came into it. After you start talking about my domestic violence situations, after all of the domestic violence situations I'd been through, and looking into it, and I was like, and my boyfriend had experience with domestic violence as well, and narcissism, and I was like, oh, okay. And when you have a husband die, and then past relationships that with all that abuse, I'm like, okay.
On top of everything you're trying to navigate for yourself, like it,
with addiction involved in it, enough is enough, right?
Yeah, like there's moments where I was like, just like bury me now, like can we just get this over with?
I'm glad somebody else is in my boat, because I was like, I think, yeah, well, you're trying to figure out who you are and what's happened to you.
And you're trying to finally love that reflection in the mirror.
Yes.
And you're hearing all this stuff, and you're like, I know this goes deeper than this, but I'm terrified of it. But I love that you said that, and that you also chimed in, and I was like, oh, man, I hadn't really looked at it that way, but no, I was straight up terrified.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
I think that delayed that moment for me even. But the truth is I still am. I don't like it. Every time I come into it, I'm like, oh, I gotta work through this today, and I really don't want to. But
I read Codependence No More, and I didn't like it. But what I'm doing is the actual 12 steps of codependent, the book, and it's a lot more. It's explained so much better.
Is it?
Yes, and it's not as scary.
who's the author? Do you
don't
know?
Yeah.
We'll have to look it up.
Yeah,
I was
it's
going
the
to
12
say,
steps of
University
codependence.
of Google, here
Let's,
I come.
Let's take, while you're looking that up, let's just take a quick commercial break. Let's look that up so we can share that when we come back. You guys good with that?
Okay,
Yeah.
yep.
Okay, guys, we'll be right back.
Good morning, this is Leticia with Computer Hospital. We are your computer repair experts for both PC and Mac. We are your community resource for all of your computer repair needs. What makes us different is that we want to fix your computer. We also do free diagnostics. We charge a flat rate labor, which means that you won't pay by the hour. All of our computer repair is done in-house with a fast turnaround time, and same-day service is also available. Feel free to stop by anytime without an appointment. We're located in Sandy at 8721 South State Street. Again, that's 8721 South State Street. Or call us at 801-987-3993. Again, that's 801-987-3993. This is Leticia with Computer Hospital, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Hello there, this is Brad Neufeld with the Resilience Talk Network, and I would like to introduce to you Taffytown, one of our newest sponsors. Let me introduce you to Derek.
Hi, I'm Derek from Taffytown. We're proud sponsors of the Other Side of Addiction podcast. Taffytown is a family-owned and operated business still operating in the Salt Lake City area for over 100 years. We manufacture some of America's best saltwater taffy.
What makes Taffytown stand out from all of the others?
We have a unique recipe, a whipped style recipe that incorporates egg whites, evaporated milk, real sea salt. It's a unique product that is flavorful, melts in your mouth, and the best part is we probably have a flavor for anyone's liking, a flavor for any reason, for any season. We have unique flavors like chicken and waffles, maple bacon, frosted cupcake. New this year was a pineapple ghost pepper flavor.
That's awesome. Where can people find out more about Taffytown and all of its products?
You can check all of this stuff out. All of our products are available for sale on taffytown.com. We ship for free from our website, so all of our pricing on there is shipping included. Oftentimes we offer special promotions and discounts to our loyal customers, so do be sure to sign up for an account. And we look forward to seeing what we can do to make you smile with our taffy.
Where are you located?
We are currently located at 9813 South Prosperity Road in West Jordan, Utah, just at the foothills of the Copper Canyon mine.
Derek, taffy has always been a great gift to give. What are some of the creative ways Taffytown can help say thank you to others?
Yeah, if you're looking for gift ideas, whether to say thank you to friends or family, or maybe to your clients after such a difficult or successful year that you've had, you could look no further than to get a gift idea from taffytown.com. We offer pre-packaged gift boxes that say that it's saltwater taffy from the city of the Great Salt Lake, and it tells a little bit about the history of our community and making candy for so long. You can also do customized gifts to pick out just the right flavors or colors of candy for that special someone and deliver even a personalized message in that box to them. So please feel free to check out taffytown.com for any gift ideas this season.
Thank you so much, Derek. Please visit taffytown.com, that's taffytown.com, to find out more about the products and services that Taffytown offers. You won't be disappointed.
Do you know someone who's gambling with death due to an addiction? Do you know someone whose life is being turned upside down due to a loved one that's battling with addiction? Hi, I'm Al Richards. I am the host of the Other Side of Addiction podcast. I started the podcast due to my wife's battle with alcohol. Let's just say I became addicted to her addiction. Our podcast is helping people understand a little more about those who have battled addiction and those who are hurting from their addiction. Through raw vulnerability, we share stories that help uncover the root causes of addiction. Shame felt on both sides, matter of the conscious and subconscious mind, continued beliefs, and often confusing paths of recovery. We collaborate with real people and their stories, as well as licensed professionals, to help our audience gain a better understanding of addiction. You can find us on Resilience Talk Network. You can also find us on Facebook at Mr. Al Richards. That's Facebook at Mr. Al Richards. You can also find us on YouTube. Just look up the Other Side of Addiction podcast. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Other Side of Addiction and our special guest, Hollie Bates. Again, Hollie, thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
We have a few more sponsors to say thank you to before we get started with the final end of the show here. Troy Hoddell with I Am Power Ninja Real Estate. Thank you, brother, so much for your love and kindness. TJ McLeland with Fitness Realty. Thank you, sir. And my friend Tatiana Rose from Advanced Business Books. So everybody, again, thank you so much for your love and support and for following us. We are just completely blessed, grateful, full of gratitude. I think we're now at 107 subscribers on YouTube, which is just great. I mean, I'm just like shocked. I was telling Janan the other day, I'm like, something big is coming. I can feel it. Something is going to happen. Something is going to happen. And we were at 84 subscribers, and like in a matter of a week and a half, we hit over 100. And it was like, she told me last night, she goes, maybe that's what that thing was that you were feeling, you know, maybe that's what it was. And so, yeah, it was awesome. So thank you guys. Yeah, told you. Yeah, told you. So, man, this show's been great. I mean, I think every show's great. Every single one. I don't think we've had a bad show yet.
Phenomenal.
Phenomenal, yes. Every show has been phenomenal, and this is going to be another one. Gosh, Hollie, with the stuff that you shared, and just seeing even the second half of the show, how you three ladies were just kind of, you guys were like meshing like two gears because you guys are feeling what each one of you have gone through because you've gone through it and you're going through it. So it's so cool to see all that come together. You know, I just sat back and let you gals go because I don't have a clue what you guys are going through. And it was so cool to see that bond happening, you know. If Brad was part of the show here, I should have had him. We should have another mic over because he and I could probably correspond and mesh a little bit better. But yeah, it was just so great to see you guys come together like that. So Hollie, you say that you're continuing to work. What are your plans now? I mean, I think you said you're looking at getting a degree in something. Did I understand that right? No. Okay.
Nope,
Okay.
No degree.
All right.
I just continue in my recovery. I just keep going, moving forward, and keep helping myself. I always switch up and change things for myself. I am doing emotional processing right now, and I'll just keep doing that. I always change. I always do something.
Yeah.
I'll just keep doing that for right now. I'm really liking that. So that's something that I have to do. I'm gonna have to keep doing that for right now for quite some time. I have a lot of layers to keep doing. So I'll just keep doing that and keep loving myself and taking good care of myself. Just be with my cute family, and anything I can do to help anybody in recovery. Or I'm usually on Facebook, and I usually like to stay on Facebook, and people know I'm in recovery. I'm always on Facebook. People know I'm in recovery, and if they want to reach out. I don't usually get much out in the community much anymore, but I don't know why. I don't know why I'm not out in the community, but I need to be. But if anybody needs to find me on Facebook, I'm Hollie Bates, and you guys can reach out to me. I'm on Facebook.
Well, I think we all better jump on before you leave to make sure that we all send friend requests to get on there.
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but I'm just taking care of myself, loving myself, and that's all I can do. Just take care of me and stay recovered.
Well, good for you. And I like how you said just continue to work on yourself and love yourself, because that's something, you don't have to be in recovery to do that. That's something all of us can do every single day, and it's been brought up. You even brought it up as like an onion. Just keep peeling those layers back. Do the Shrek. JD brought that up once in a show. It's just keep peeling.
I love you,
Just
Sarah.
keep
I love
peeling.
that you said you, Sarah. You, Sarah, has so many good resources. And
Yeah.
you, Sarah, is a great. I used to go there, and if I ever need classes or resources, or that's one great place that I'll always.
Yeah.
But right now I'm just doing
Me.
I'm doing me, and I'm doing it with my therapist, and I'm doing that direction for right now. But I'm sure, when I switch up, that's I have a lot of good resources to go back to, and I greatly appreciate this opportunity, so thank you.
Oh, absolutely. And thank you to Andrea Banger
Thank you to Andrea, for sure.
for mentioning it. I think at one time she was talking about hoping she could even be in the studio just to kind of be here with this, but I know she's got a lot of new things going on
She does.
as well in her life too. And so Andrea, thank you for introducing Hollie and myself, and to have you on the show. I mean, it was a complete pleasure, literally, to have you here and have you share.
I do have a question for you, though.
Okay.
So how are you and your parents' relationship now?
I love my parents, and my parents really. Yeah, we have a great relationship.
Good.
Yeah, we don't. I've never had a bad relationship with them. I've had a good life. Like I'm never not had any bad relationship with my parents. They're just not enablers,
Yeah.
They never enabled me to. But they've always been a great help, a great support. I have an amazing little sister. I have a twin sister. So I have a great family.
Good.
Great support system. Get a great support system.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
important.
So
And a lot of times it's not family,
Yeah.
Yeah.
really, because we screw up by doing the wrong things. Support, don't enable. That's the best thing we can do, but find a good support group that knows what you're going through, right?
That is the absolute truth. And not saying that my parents have not been a good foundation,
Right.
Yeah.
but the best support that I have gotten was people who understood and knew exactly what I was going through. I do have to give major kudos to my boyfriend now, who has major support with my mental my mental health, who he supports. He talks to me. He knows my ins, my outs, my ups, my downs, my everything. He gives major support to me, where I can't. He knows me better than anybody. So find your people, and I don't have a lot of people, so I've kind of kept to myself. When at the first of my recovery, I had a lot of, but I have my very few people. So keep your people close and stuff like that. But I've kind of gotten smaller with my people. which isn't very, I don't want to say it's not very healthy, but definitely I've gotten smaller with my group, and I don't know if that's so much healthy, but the one thing I can say is I found my person for my therapist, and I absolutely adore her. So, but I do know how to reach out. I mean, and that's good. I have some great friends that I can absolutely call up and say, okay, this isn't working for me. I'm struggling right now. So, and but I don't think a big crowd is very good for me either. So, and but do what works for you.
Yeah.
You know, I'm definitely not shy away from, if somebody calls me up and says, hey, I need some help, I'll be right there for you too. So just find what works for you, and try different and new things. Don't be afraid to do that either. So
That's a good point.
don't be afraid to try new things,
Yeah.
because you never know what works for you.
Right.
So
Awesome. Again, Holly, thank you so much for being here with us
you're
today.
very welcome.
Um,
Anytime.
Thank you.
Ladies, thank you. Thank you. Brad, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Yeah. So the other side of addiction, through raw vulnerability, we share stories that help uncover the root causes of addiction. Shame felt on both sides, matters of conscious and subconscious mind, conditioned beliefs, and the often confusing path of recovery. We collaborate with real people and their stories, as well as licensed professionals, to help our audience gain a better understanding of addiction. That's what this podcast is all about, and those words came from Charity, so I want to give her credit. I did not write that. That came from this lovely young lady right here. Nice. So, Charity, thank you. Again, everybody, thank you so much. All our listeners, all our supporters, sponsors, guests, co-hosts, everybody. So thank you so much. We're going to leave you with this, as we do every week. Remember, addiction is giving up everything for everything. Or, excuse me, let's start this all over. All right. Addiction is giving up everything for one thing. Recovery is giving up one thing for everything. Love you guys.